I stood still, silently, in the quiet of my own being, knowing that what I sought was already mine, not because of chance, nor effort, nor striving, but because I claimed it. And I claimed it through the simple act of awareness, of repeating again and again the three words that align my soul with the source of all things. You see, it is not the world that gives to you. It is you who gives to the world. All wealth, all abundance, all prosperity begins in the imagination. And what I am about to reveal is not a trick, not a technique, not a superstition. It is the truth of your own being. I repeated these three words until they no longer were words, but a state of consciousness, a living vibration within me, and from that vibration the world had no choice but to mirror it. In wealth, that was it. Not I want wealth, not I hope for wealth, not even I will be wealthy. I am wealth. The moment those words became a living feeling within me, I was no longer waiting for the world to deliver $50 million, 0 cents. I was the one who possessed it already. I was the consciousness of opulence, and all things had to arrange themselves to reflect it. You must understand, the outer world is a mirror. It has no life of its own. It simply reflects back to you the image you hold most firmly in your mind. So when I walked as wealth. When I spoke as one who possessed. When I breathed the air of riches, not from arrogance, but from certainty, the kind that only comes from union with the divine within. I was not affirming to convince the universe. I was affirming to remind myself of who I truly am. Every time I said those three words, I dropped deeper into the truth. I am wealth was not a wish. It was a declaration, a statement of identity. And that identity is everything. The moment you accept this truth, not just intellectually, but emotionally, you become unstoppable. No bank balance can define you, no economy can restrict you, no doubt can survive the fire of your inner knowing. The moment I felt myself to be the possessor of great riches, the outer world simply complied. Unexpected deals arrived, opportunities unfolded with perfect timing. Strangers became allies, closed doors swung open, not by force, not by hustle, but by alignment. Do not wait for evidence. Create the evidence by assuming the end. The moment you see yourself as wealthy, unshakably, unconditionally, that image must externalize itself. Because consciousness is the only reality, and your assumption, when persisted in, will harden into fact. I am, well, say it now, not with doubt, not as a question, but with absolute inner conviction. Let it echo in the chambers of your mind until it burns away every lie of lack you've ever believed. Feel it, own it, walk in it. You are not becoming wealthy. You already are. And as I continued to dwell in this truth, I realized something more profound. Wealth is not money. Money is simply one expression of wealth. Wealth is a state. It is a presence. It is an energy. And when you become one with that energy, the forms it takes are endless. For some, it may be gold. For others, it may be land, influence, or ideas. For me, it came in the form of $50 million, 0 cents. Not because I chased it, but because I became aligned with the source that produces it all. Each morning I would rise, not with anxiety or hunger for more, but with a gentle remembrance. I am wealth. These three words became more than a mantra. They became my dwelling place. I would sit in silence and feel the luxury of being, the calm assurance of knowing that all that is mine can never be withheld. Not because of my effort, but because of my identity. It is identity that draws substance into form. I did not visualize dollar signs, nor did I plead with the heavens. Instead, I assumed the feeling of already being the one who had it. And in this assumption, I found peace. And in that peace, I found power. I imagined walking into rooms as one who had already accomplished what others still dreamed of, not in arrogance, but in stillness, the stillness of one who knows. You see, imagination is not merely a faculty, it is God within us. And what you dare to assume to be true in your imagination, with feeling, becomes true in the world of experience. But few dare. Few persist. They affirm once and then watch the world for signs. They plant the seed and dig it up the next day to see if it has taken root. But that is not faith. That is doubt dressed in hope. I did not look for signs. I became the sign. I carried the atmosphere of wealth. I dressed, walked, spoke, and most importantly, felt as though I were already wealthy. My conversations were flavored with gratitude, not longing. I did not complain. I did not speak of lack. I did not react to appearances, for I had trained my mind to see beyond the veil. I no longer gave reality to what my senses reported. Instead, I gave reality to what I felt to be true, and what I felt was, I am wealth. Every great change in your life begins with your concept of yourself. If you see yourself as poor, even riches will flee from you. If you see yourself as abundance itself, even in a desert, you will find overflow. I knew this, and so I chose the better portion. I recall walking down the street with no money in my bank account, but with the confidence of one who held $50 million, 0 cents. Not because I was deluded, but because I was operating from the truth. That truth had not yet materialized in the bank, but it had already taken root in consciousness. And since all things flow from consciousness, I knew the outer would soon catch up. It had no choice. People often asked, but what should I do? And the answer is simple. Become. Become the version of you who already has it. Think like them, move like them, feel like them, respond like them. Do not wait for the evidence. Create it within yourself. Action taken from a state of lack produces more lack. But action taken from fullness brings multiplication. When I first began repeating those 3 words, I am wealth, I felt resistance. My mind argued. It brought up the debts, the bills, the failures, but I did not argue back. I simply returned to the truth. I persisted until the feeling took over, until the old self was dissolved, until the lie of poverty melted away. And one day I woke up and there was no more resistance. I said, I am wealth, and it was no longer a phrase. It was me. And then the world shifted. Phone calls came from nowhere. Ideas arrived in the stillness. Meanings unfolded with divine precision. A connection led to a business deal led to a contract, and soon what I had assumed inwardly had taken form outwardly. $50 million, 0 cents, not by toil but by transformation. But hear this, the number didn't matter. It was never about the money, it was about the state. And once you dwell in the state, the forms are endless. You can manifest more. You can manifest joy, peace, relationships, opportunities. Why? Because the same principle applies to all things. Stay with me now, not mechanically, but with soul. I am wealth. Say it again. Let your body catch up to the vibration. Let your emotions align. Let your imagination create the feeling. What would it look like to be wealth? What would it sound like? What would it feel like in your breath, in your walk, in your spine? Lived from that place. I would lay in bed at night and enter into the end. I would imagine checking a bank balance filled with zeros. I would feel the satisfaction of blessing others with generosity. I would hear the words of gratitude from those I had helped. I would visualize my family in joy, in peace. And then I would fall asleep in that state, not as one who wishes, but as one who has. And sleep is the bridge. In sleep, your subconscious accepts what you last dwell upon. So I made sure that what I last dwelled upon was my wealth, my freedom, my abundance. And every morning I rose with a knowing. I did not know how it would come, but I knew it would. The how belongs to the infinite intelligence. The what is your responsibility. I chose the what. I chose wealth. I chose to be its embodiment. And that's what you must do now. Stop trying to get. Start trying to be. You cannot get wealth while being poor in consciousness. But when you become wealth in consciousness, the universe will organize itself to match it. Your environment may not match, yet that's fine. Your relationships may still reflect the old self. Let them. Do not react. Do not be disturbed. You are not subject to them. You are creating anew. Trust the unseen. Walk by inner vision. Persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. If doubt arises, return to the 3 words, I am wealth. Say it until doubt dissolves. Say it until your heartbeat matches the rhythm of abundance. Say it until it is the only voice you hear. When I reached that level of persistence, reality bowed. And it must. Because your world is yourself pushed out. All that you experience is an echo of your inner state. So I ask you, what are you echoing? Is it fear? Is it lack? Is it waiting? Then shift. Right now, this moment is holy. Do not delay. Become the person who already has what you desire. Speak as them, think as them, give thanks as them, not to impress others, not to fake it, but because it is your truest identity. You're not a beggar before the universe. You are the creator, and creation begins with being. I remember when the first large sum came through, 7 figures in a single week. And yet it did not feel shocking. It felt natural, because I had already lived it 1,000 times in imagination. I had already walked in it. I had already tasted the feeling. So when it appeared, it was not a surprise. It was a confirmation. You are not here to chase money. You are here to awaken to who you truly are. And when you do, money becomes a servant, not a master. It becomes a tool, not a trap. I am well. It is a sacred truth, not because it flatters your ego, but because it awakens your soul. Because you and the source are one. Because lack is a lie. Because abundance is your natural state. Repeat it in the morning light. Repeat it in the shadow of doubt. Repeat it in moments of silence. Repeat it until it replaces every belief of insufficiency. Repeat it until it becomes you. And once it becomes you, nothing shall be impossible to you. And so I continued day after day, night after night, not in a rush, not in desperation, but in quiet power. I wasn't seeking a miracle. I was being the miracle. I wasn't chasing success. I was the living essence of success. I wasn't running after wealth. I was wealth walking. I am well. It echoed through me, and not just as sound, but as life. My conversations changed. I no longer entertained words of lack or limitation. I would not speak of how things were going wrong, because to do so would be to dishonor the truth I'd accepted. If someone spoke of struggle, I blessed them silently, but did not join them in agreement. I no longer found comfort in complaints. I found comfort in creation. You see, the outer world will tempt you. It will try to pull you back into the old you. The bank balance might dip. An unexpected bill may arrive. A friend may question your faith. But none of it matters if you remain faithful to your assumption. That's all that's asked of you. Remain faithful to your assumption. What is your assumption? Mine was, I am wealthy, not because the world said so, not because numbers confirmed it, but because I chose it. And what I chose internally became my external world. It had no choice, because the law is perfect. Whatever you accept as true of yourself must express itself. That's not philosophy, that's reality. And I didn't stop with wealth. I began to use this truth in all areas. Health, I declared I am vital. Relationships, I declared I am loved. Peace, I am stillness. And one by one, each area of my life aligned to match the identity I carried. I didn't need to manipulate circumstances, I just needed to embody truth. When you carry the feeling of wealth in your being, it changes everything. Your decisions come from abundance, not fear. You don't hesitate. You don't ask, can I afford this? Instead, you ask, does this match my vision? That is the shift. From scarcity thinking to creative choosing. From surviving to thriving. And that shift only comes when you no longer try to possess wealth from the outside, but you possess the feeling of wealth from within. There were days I would sit in silence and imagine myself as the source of all abundance. I would breathe in deeply and say, I am the beginning and the end of my fortune. All that I need flows from me, and I would feel it, rich, warm, solid, a certainty. And I'd let that feeling expand through my body down to my fingertips until I was that vibration, until the thought of limitation seemed almost foreign. That's the power of persistence. People around me began to notice changes. You seem different, they'd say. You look calm, confident. What's going on? And I would just smile, because it wasn't what was happening around me, it was what was happening within me. My inner world had shifted, and the outer world had to catch up. It always does. And the moment you accept that your outer world is just the shadow of your inner state, you stop chasing shadows. You start changing light. You start working from the cause, not the effect. That is power. That is freedom. You don't have to force things. You don't have to convince others. You don't even have to announce it. Just live it. Quietly, persistently, day by day, moment by moment. Carry yourself as the person you have decided to be, not based on evidence, based on identity. Let the world think you're deluded. Let them laugh. Let them mock. That's fine. They did the same to every visionary, every master, every soul who saw before the eyes could see. But when the evidence begins to show, when the bank accounts change, when the lifestyle shifts, when your peace radiates, those same voices will ask, how did you do it? And you'll know, you did not do it, you became it. And that becoming changed everything. I remember vividly the day the full $50 million 0 cents came. It was not one transaction, it was not a lottery. It was a series of events, each one perfectly orchestrated by the unseen hand. Investments matured, businesses blossomed, deals formed effortlessly. What others called luck, I called law. I called it the result of inner alignment. And when it arrived, I didn't feel shocked or overwhelmed. I felt gratitude, but not surprised. I had already received it within myself 100 times before it appeared in form. That's the difference. The outer appearance is the final echo. The true work happens in the silence of imagination. So I tell you now, if you desire wealth, if you dream of prosperity, if you long to be free from financial worry, do not start by chasing the world. Start by redefining yourself. Your concept of self is the root of everything. Change it, and the fruit must change. Declare it with me again. I am wealth. Breathe it, believe it, know it, carry it with you everywhere. When you walk into a store, don't ask, can I afford this? Ask, does this reflect the wealth I am? When you open your wallet, don't look at the numbers, feel the wealth within you. When you see someone else succeeding, do not envy, celebrate. For their success is proof of the principle, and what is true for one is true for all. Wealth is not in the numbers, it is in the vibration. Align your vibration, and the numbers will align themselves. You are not trying to become wealthy. That mindset keeps you running in circles. You must accept that you already are, even if you are surrounded by bills, even if debt seems overwhelming, even if your circumstances scream otherwise. Those are the echoes of an old self, and you are no longer that person. Right now, in this very moment, you can choose a new identity. You can assume a new state. You can say it softly but firmly, I am wealth. And if you persist, if you remain faithful to that truth above all appearances, it must become visible. Your assumption becomes your world. And here's the secret very few understand. It's not about intensity. It's about persistence. You don't have to force the feeling. Just return to it over and over, like a river carving a canyon. It's the gentle repetition that creates transformation. I am wealth. Say it when you rise. Say it in traffic. Say it in silence. Say it when it feels true, and say it when it doesn't. Say it until it becomes your new normal, until the idea of lack no longer feels like home. And when the doubts come, and they will, don't fight them. Just return to the truth. Let the doubts pass like clouds, but stay grounded in the knowing. Like the sun behind the clouds, your true self is untouched by circumstances. There were moments I wanted to give up, moments where fear tried to reclaim its throne. But I reminded myself those were only remnants of the old man, the old self, who no longer existed. I had died to that version of me, and in its place stood someone new, someone who no longer asked the world for permission to be abundant. That is the real key, the death of the old identity. You must let go of who you thought you were to become who you truly are. Not poor, not struggling, not small, but radiant, infinite, abundant, worthy. And you don't need approval. You don't need qualifications. You don't even need evidence. You only need the courage to assume. Junbao, don't wait for the right moment. This is the moment. Don't wait for the right opportunity. You are the opportunity. Don't wait for things to change. You are the change. And as you continue to walk in the assumption of wealth, you'll notice subtle shifts. You'll speak differently. You'll walk differently. You'll attract different experiences. And soon, you won't even remember the old version of you that struggled and doubted. That version will seem like a dream, something you once imagined, but no longer believe, because you have been born again, not by the will of man, but by the will of your own consciousness. You have stepped into the kingdom. The kingdom is within. The treasure you sought was never far away. It was always within you, waiting for recognition. And the moment you say, truly say, I am wealth, the treasure begins to unfold. From within to without, from silence to substance, from idea to incarnation. And nothing can stop it. And so I continued to walk, not in hope, not in striving, but in the calm power of knowing. I did not need to prove anything, not to the world, not to myself. I only needed to persist in my state. I did not chase opportunities, I attracted them. Because when you dwell in the state of wealth, opportunities recognize you. They are drawn to you like iron to a magnet. You do not force, you allow. People began to treat me differently, though they could not explain why. They sensed something, an invisible certainty, an unshakable presence. I didn't need to announce who I was. My energy announced it. That's what happens when you truly accept your wealth. You radiate a vibration that commands recognition, respect, and receptivity. You don't demand wealth from the world, you express it, and the world reflects it. I would often walk into rooms, sit at tables, make decisions, and negotiate, from the premise that the wealth was already mine, not because I had it in my account at that moment, but because it existed in my awareness. And whatever exists in your awareness must find expression in your world. That is law, immutable, unchanging, eternal. There was no more asking, when will it come? That question had dissolved. I knew the moment I asked it, I had separated myself from the thing I desired. Instead, I asked a different question. How does it feel now that it has come? And I answered it in feeling, not in words, but in vibration. I'd sit in silence, close my eyes, and let the feeling of wealth wash over me. I'd feel the softness of it, the peace of it, the strength of it, and then I would open my eyes and carry that feeling with me. Every action I took from that point forward was born from that state. I no longer acted to get money. I acted as one who already had it. And this changed the quality of my decisions. My choices became bold, clear, decisive. I was no longer bound by fear or the need to play it safe. I operated from fullness. I invested wisely, not reactively. I gave generously, not anxiously. I received gratefully, not desperately. You see, wealth is not something you own. It's something you become. And the process of becoming is not external. It's not about the car, the house, the digits. It's about how you see yourself. You must see yourself as the one who is, not the one who will be. You must hold the end as though it were the beginning. You must call what is unseen as though it were seen. This is not blind faith. This is inner science. Precise, methodical, certain. If you impress an image onto your inner world long enough with deep feeling, it will project itself into your outer world. That is how all things are made, from within to without. Every building, every invention, every fortune, first imagined, then manifested. So why should your wealth be any different? I am wealth. I carried it through every challenge. When problems arose, I didn't revert to fear. I didn't ask, what will I do? I asked, what would wealth do? And I responded accordingly. Not because I was pretending, but because I was that identity. And because I remained in that state, the solutions appeared. The obstacles dissolved. The path unfolded. There is a rhythm to creation. It is not frantic. It is not hurried. It is calm, clear, deliberate. The seed does not strain to become the tree. It simply unfolds moment by moment according to its nature. So too, when you have impressed the seed of wealth upon your consciousness, the tree will grow. The results will appear. The form will take shape. All you must do is stay faithful to the inner image and not dig up the seed with doubt. There were days when things moved slowly, days when nothing seemed to be happening. Not rush. I did not panic. I persisted. And now, as I look back, I can see how perfect every step was. The delays, the waiting, the testing, all of it sculpted me into the person who could not just receive wealth, but sustain it. Because wealth without identity is temporary, but wealth that flows from identity is eternal. It becomes an extension of who you are, not something you chase, but something you express. People often think that the goal is to get rich, but the real goal is to become aligned with the essence of abundance. When you become it, you no longer need to chase it. It comes to you in ways you could never predict. Unexpected gifts, surprising opportunities, timely partnerships, all orchestrated by the unseen intelligence that matches your vibration with form. I remember once receiving a call from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. They had a business idea, needed a partner, thought of me. That single conversation turned into a multi-million-dollar venture. Did I earn it? In a worldly sense, perhaps not, but in the deeper sense, I had earned it by aligning with it, by becoming the version of me who already had such opportunities flowing to him. And that's the true secret. You are the source. Not the job, not the stock market, not the client. You, your consciousness, your inner state, your persistent self-concept. When that changes, everything changes. So day by day, I practiced the feeling of my wish fulfilled. I didn't visualize out of need. I visualized from the joy of knowing. I didn't affirm to get something. I affirmed to anchor myself in the truth. And the truth was this: I am the operant power. I do not wait, I create. I do not wish, I assume. I do not beg, I become. And from that place, creation becomes effortless. Even now, I do not stop. I continue to evolve my concept of self. I know there are no limits except the ones I accept. So I stretch my awareness daily. I continue to say, I am wealth. Not because I need to convince myself, but because it reminds me of what I am. And each time I say it, I deepen my relationship with that truth. It becomes more alive, more real, more radiant. Understand now that wealth is not a destination, it is a vibration. A constant unfolding, a deepening of truth. And just as the sun does not apologize for its light, I do not apologize for my abundance. I share it freely, I teach it openly, I give it generously. Because what I am, I give, and what I give returns multiplied. There is no scarcity in truth, only overflow. So I ask you again, what are you assuming? What are you repeating? What are you claiming moment by moment? If it is anything less than abundance, let it go. Not through struggle, but through surrender. Drop the identity of lack like an old coat and put on the garment of wealth. Wear it in your imagination. Feel its texture. Let it settle on you, and do not take it off, no matter what the outer world says. It is not your job to fight the current reality. It is your job to replace it with a higher one. And you do that not by force, but by assumption, by being. I'm well. These words are not magic. They are mirrors. They reflect your inner world back to you. They remind you of the truth you've always known, but perhaps forgotten. That you are the source. That you are the abundance. That you are not here to chase, but to radiate. Say it softly. Say it loudly. Say it in silence. Say it when you are walking, when you are sitting, when you are breathing. Let these 3 words become the rhythm of your life. And as you do, you'll notice something miraculous. The world changes. People respond differently. Money flows with ease. Doors open where before there were walls. And you'll know beyond doubt that it wasn't luck or coincidence or effort. It wasn't judgment. It was you. It was the power within you, awakened, aligned, and embodied. And it all began with 3 words. I am well. I did not wait for the outer world to give me permission. I did not ask for confirmation. I moved with an inner assurance that needed no proof. For I had discovered that the greatest wealth of all is not what you see. It is what you know yourself to be. And I knew I was well. You must understand, this was not a mental trick. It was not wishful thinking. It was a shift in identity, a reordering of belief. I no longer saw wealth as something apart from me, something I might have, might lose, might earn. I saw it as my natural state, as close to me as breath, as near as thought, and from this closeness everything changed. The more I persisted in the assumption of wealth, the more the world yielded to it. Friends who once pitied me began asking for advice. Colleagues who doubted me now sought my mentorship. Financial blessings began to arrive so quickly and in such volume that I stopped keeping count. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because I was aligned. And when you are aligned, miracles are ordinary. But still I did not make the wealth my God. I did not place the $50 million 0 cents above the principle. I knew that the number was simply a symbol, an echo of an inner state. I honored the symbol, yes, but I worshipped the source. And the source was within me, within my assumption, within my feeling, within my words. Each time I said it, I was tuning the instrument of my mind. I was bringing every thought, every emotion, every expectation into harmony with the truth. And when your inner world sings the melody of truth, the outer world must dance to its rhythm. I practiced this not once, not twice, but continually. I did not wait for the right mood. I did not say, I'll do it when I feel inspired. No, I understood that discipline was sacred, repetition was my devotion. So even on days when I felt nothing, especially on those days, I repeated the words, because I knew that feelings follow focus, and my focus was firm. I declared it while walking through the park, feeling the abundance of nature around me. I declared it in front of the mirror, looking myself in the eyes with conviction. I declared it in silence, with no sound but the beating of my heart, knowing that my subconscious was listening, always responding. You see, the subconscious does not reason, it accepts, it obeys. It takes the blueprint you give it and builds your world accordingly. And I gave it only one blueprint, that I was already what I desired, not becoming, not hoping to be, already, now. And that made all the difference. I did not just imagine money. I imagined the life that money afforded. I saw myself waking up in peace, surrounded by beauty, giving freely, creating without pressure, living with joy. I felt the softness of luxurious linens. I tasted the richness of foods from around the world. I saw my loved ones smiling, free from burden. I heard the laughter of children I had helped. I lived the life in my imagination so vividly, so consistently, that my outer world had no choice but to conform. It wasn't a fantasy. It was a preview, and the universe, precise and obedient, matched it. Opportunities came in strange and beautiful ways. I would meet someone by chance, and that person would know someone who needed exactly what I had to offer. I would hear about an investment at just the right time. A business idea would flash into my mind in the middle of a walk, and within weeks it would begin to bear fruit. But I didn't chase any of it. I didn't force it. I flowed, because I had learned something priceless. You don't create wealth through striving. You allow it through being. So I ask you again, not with judgment, but with clarity, who are you being? Not what are you doing? Not what are you wishing for? Who are you being? Because your beingness is your broadcast, and the universe responds to your signal, not your words, not your effort, your state. Change the state, and you change the world. People may call it delusion. Let them. The same people will later call it vision. That's how it always works. They'll say, of course it worked out. You were always meant to succeed. But you'll know the truth. You chose the end from the beginning. You saw the unseen. You believed before belief was popular. You stood firm while others wavered. And because you did, the promise fulfilled itself. You won't need to explain it. You'll embody it. Your posture will shift. Your tone will change. Your eyes will speak confidence. And people will feel it. They will say, there is something about you, something powerful, something certain. And you'll smile, knowing that the change didn't begin in the outer world. It began in the silence of your own heart. I lived as wealth long before I possessed it in the world's terms. I gave when I had little. I celebrated others' success without envy. I treated myself with honor, even when I had every excuse not to. Because I knew the world is the reflection, not the cause. Everything begins in consciousness. That is the secret the world forgets. That is the truth hidden in plain sight. And once you know it, once you live it, you will never again be a victim of circumstances. You will be the master. You're not the master of others, but the master of yourself. Your thoughts, your assumptions, your emotions. I took full responsibility for my reality. I no longer blamed anyone, not the economy, not my upbringing, not the timing. I knew those were reflections of my past states, and I had already stepped into a new one, a higher one that whispered in every breath, I am wealth. And that whisper became a roar. My relationships flourished. My health improved. My influence expanded. Not because I chased any of those things, but because wealth is wholeness. And when you align with wealth, all areas of life rise to meet that frequency. Even the people around me began to change. Some fell away, naturally, gently. Others came, drawn by the light I now carried. I did not mourn the loss. I understood that the new version of me required a new atmosphere, and I welcomed it with grace. It is not always easy. There are moments when the old self tries to rise again, when fear whispers its lies, when doubt knocks on the door, but I do not answer. I return to truth. I return to stillness. I return to the 3 words that changed my life. You am wealth. And I say them not as a plea, but as a proclamation. I say them not to get something, but to remember who I am. I say them because they are true. And the more I say them, the more true they become. You can begin this now, this very moment. You can sit in silence, close your eyes, and speak those words with your heart, not as an echo of someone else's belief, but as a declaration of your own. Feel the words, not just in your mind, but in your chest, your gut, your bones. Let them saturate you. Let them reshape your image of yourself. Let them become your new foundation. And from that foundation, build a life that reflects your inner truth, a life of ease, a life of joy, a life of overflowing abundance, not just for yourself, but for those you love, for those you touch, for the world. Because when you become wealth, your life becomes a blessing to others. You speak words that lift, you give with joy, you walk with peace. You show others what is possible, not by preaching, but by being. You live as a lighthouse, silent, steady, radiant, and others find their way by your light. This is not just about $50 million 0 cents. It's not about a number. It's about the awakening of your power, the remembering of who you really are. You are not limited. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are divine. You are whole. You are abundant. You are well. And that truth, once accepted, once lived, will carry you farther than any strategy, any job, any external force ever could. It is not outside of you. It is you. And the moment you claim it, the moment you become it, the journey ends. Because the destination has always been within. Well, I get it. And watch the world respond. So now, the choice is in your hands. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. You've heard the truth. The power to manifest, to create, to call forth $50 million, 0 cents or more, is not outside you. It is within you. And it begins with 3 simple, eternal words. I am wealth. Wealth, do not let them remain as mere sounds. Let them become your identity. Let them shape your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your reality. Persist in that truth no matter what the outer world shows you. Because when you refuse to be moved by appearances and stand firm in your assumption, the world has no choice but to conform. You were never meant to struggle. You were never meant to live in lack. You were created to express abundance, to overflow with life, love, and prosperity. But it will never happen if you continue to think of yourself as less than what you truly are. So declare it boldly, claim it without apology, walk in it without fear. You are wealth. You are abundance. You are the living expression of infinite provision. And the moment you believe it with your whole being, you'll see what I saw. You will experience what I experienced. You will live the life that was waiting for you all along. Say it now and say it forever. I am well. Let it be done. Let it be known. Let it be you.